Well, it's time for the day's business news now with Yuka Royer joining us. And you're starting here with some good news for the French economy.
For the French economy and perhaps for the government to come in just 2 months before presidential elections here. Unemployment here in France dropped to the lowest level since 2008, boosting President Emmanuel Macron's economic credentials. Official data shows that the jobless rate fell to 7.4% in the final quarter of 2021, down 0.6% from the previous 3 months. In particular, youth unemployment dropped to the lowest level in 40 years, down from nearly 25% in 2017 to below 16%. Now, government ministers have hailed the figures as a victory for its economic policies. Here's France's Labour Minister speaking earlier.
No one imagined that we could have these kinds of figures after one of the most serious economic crises of the last decades. Another very important figure is the youth unemployment rate, which has fallen sharply. We're at the lowest rate in nearly 40 years. So I'm telling you, it's all down to the reforms, to the government's whatever it takes policy, the revival of our economy. And these factors allow us to have these figures today. And this is very good news for all French people.
Meanwhile, the French state has announced that it will inject about 2 billion euros into the struggling utility firm Électricité de France. EDF recently slashed its outlook for nuclear power output next year as more reactors are being taken offline due to technical problems. Its share sank as it published its earnings report. Sinead McCausland reports.
A €2 billion helping hand from the French government to be given to a struggling EDF announced this Friday.
EDF is experiencing difficulties related to the unavailability of nuclear reactors, so it sells less nuclear energy, so revenue has declined. It needs the financial support of the state. As I've always said, the state is at the side of EDF and at the side of the employees.
The financial injection comes as the electric utility giant has seen its stock lose a fifth of its value since the start of this year. It's taken a hit following outages at French nuclear power plants that forced the company to slice its output, and a government price cap, forcing it to sell electricity at below market prices. In financial results released Friday, EDF announced earnings were up 11% from the previous year, but warned of a bleak year ahead as they project losses tied to the government price cap, in addition to an €11 billion hit over waning output in nuclear production, factors offsetting the expected gain from increased power prices. It all comes as the French government aims to ramp up investment in nuclear energy to reduce carbon emissions. Last week, President Macron announced the building of at least 6 new nuclear reactors, built and operated by EDF.
And with that, let's take a look at the markets now. And US stocks closed a second losing week in a row, weighed by concerns over Ukraine. The Dow and the S&P both ended down about 0.7%. The Nasdaq, meanwhile, down 1.25%. Turning to some more of the day's business headlines now. And a cargo ship carrying thousands of luxury cars caught fire off the coast of Portugal en route from Emden in Germany to the United States. Crew members have been rescued, but nearly 4,000 cars, including Porsches, Audis and Bentleys, have been left abandoned on the ship as the ship awaits to be towed. Officials say batteries in electric cars on board were the source of the fire. French carmaker Renault has reported its first annual profit in 3 years after being hit by Carlos Ghosn's scandal and the coronavirus pandemic. It reported €888 million in net profit for 2021 as it cut costs by €2 billion over 2 years. Under its new leadership, it aims to go fully electric by 2030 and recently announced a 5-year investment plan worth €26 billion. Shares of French luxury house Hermès fell after the company reported disappointing fourth quarter sales figures. The slower growth during the Christmas shopping period was partly due to its own production cap. The head of the company says it prefers to have long waiting lists for its prized leather handbags than speed up production to meet demand and risk lowering the quality. Now, you may remember the piece of furniture that caught the eye during recent visits by the French president and the German chancellor to Russia. President Putin and his guests are sitting across a 6-meter-long table, as you can see there with President Macron there, sparked a flurry of internet memes and speculation about its symbolism. But the oversized table is a source of pride for one small Italian furniture firm that says it delivered it to the Kremlin back in 1995, though it's not the only one to make such a claim. A retired Spanish craftsman also said that he made it. The head of the Italian firm says that the value of the table would be around 100,000 euros today. Let's take a listen.
The table is the object on which people spend their time eating, laughing, joking, playing, where wars are decided and armistices are signed. My hope is that this table, in this case, will not encourage the escalation of a war.
So there we go, even a furniture maker sort of voicing some hope for a diplomatic solution to the Ukraine crisis, of course.
Yuka Roya there with the business news. And